Wow, this will be awkward if it doesn't come out at all, despite the fact that I put this video up, wouldn't it? Hello, this is Davinci Resolve, and first off, welcome America to the craze that is song competitions. Now, I don't come from nowhere on this subject, and if you're a regular follower on this channel, you should know. I have had interest in Eurovision since 2015, and I have posted several Eurovision videos, including a notable one I posted in 2017. There's the card. Hopefully it should show up. And I have to say, if this comes out, I will be super excited. From the time we're recording this video, Saturday, January 8th, it's going to come out on NBC starting Monday, February 21st of this year, and it's going to have weekly installments until they crown a winner. There are going to be 6 shows, 3 first rounds, 2 semifinals, and 1 final, and it's going to include 56 entries from the 50 states, the District of Columbia, and 5 territories, those being of Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, US Virgin Islands, and Northern Mariana Islands. That goes to show you that I'm serious about this stuff, because I actually memorized all of those territories. But that being said, let's get into my mindset for this contest in general. I have been arguing with a lot of people on the Eurovision subreddit about how a contest like this could work, and about America's process in Eurovision in general, because that often gets intertwined. First off, I don't believe the United States should enter Eurovision, unless the EBU decides that they should enter Eurovision. Mainly because this is a mostly European contest, yes, but my idea is, rather than having Eurovision be this exclusionary block that sometimes invites Australia, despite the fact that that's looking funny on the face of it now, we should expand the contest to other countries through sister contests. Now, we don't have a lot of those sister contests up online. The most successful was the OTI Festival, which worked as a de facto Pan-American Song Contest, despite the fact that it wasn't. From 1972 to the year 2000, that doesn't exist anymore. We have the Afro Music Song Contest, which is an online-only song contest and works on a few different rules from Eurovision. That's still ongoing, but it's only been a few years. And Asia. Before I get into talking about the American Song Contest, the EBU was trying to get an Asian Pacific version of Eurovision started for a while. And while the Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union, or Asian Broadcasting Union, I forgot what they're named, do have song showcases, they aren't competitions. There are no winners, no losers. There was this one time we had the Golden Kite Festival, but that was like a 3-time thing. And there was that attempt to make Our Sound the Asia Pacific Song Contest back in the late 2000s, which never got off the ground. But Eurovision Asia was set to change that. They had these big goals about how they had 11 countries already announced their participation, how they were deciding between Hong Kong, Singapore, and Australia to be the first country. And then we heard rumors that was going to be announced for Gold Coast, Australia in 2019. In Australian spring. But the date came and went, so it was thoroughly bunk. And around the turn of the decade, the EBU just basically canned it. Where was America through all this? Well, the EBU was striking up deals with American broadcasters to broadcast the Eurovision Song Contest. Now, it's not like the United States hasn't broadcast Eurovision before, but this is the most recent attempt. Except I don't really know what to say. They picked a bad choice! From 2016 to 2018, the Eurovision Final, and only the Eurovision Final, would be available to American residents through Viacom's own Logo TV, whose only qualification besides hosting Eurovision is RuPaul's Drag Race. That's basically the only thing they're known for. While there's a lot of overlap between Eurovision and the LGBT community, and there are a lot of camp entries, and there have been a lot of homosexual participants, bisexual participants, pansexual participants, that's a new one, transgender representatives, and I swear to you, by the end of the decade, we're going to have a non-binary representative. That's going to be fun to watch. Eurovision isn't solely about that. Eurovision is about bringing the people of Europe together through one event. Which is why they pissed me off in 2020 when they canceled the damn thing. You could have just moved it to an online-only thing, EBU, or have it held in a studio with no audience like WWE did. I was saying that from day one. That was a mistake. But enough about that. Because of that, there were a lot of dissociations with what Eurovision is to an American audience, and that's why Logo TV got it. The problem is, on top of the fact that Logo TV has a certain set of catered programming, they don't have an audience. It's very hard to get Logo TV. It's in one of the more advanced cable packages around here. And so, even with the YouTube live streams of the Eurovision final in 2016 through 2018, they got paltry numbers. And let's face it, lack of advertising. And on top of that, Justin Timberlake, who was going to perform as an interval act in the Eurovision 2016 final, Logo TV didn't get the rights to broadcast Justin Timberlake's interval act, so the whole point of Justin Timberlake to promote Eurovision to an American audience is just kind of dead. And on top of that, the commentary. Good God, they did not know what Eurovision was. They talked about a whole bunch of stuff, but hardly any of that stuff was pertaining to Eurovision, or its participants, or the history of the contest, or anything. I know a lot more about the history of the contest than these two. I could do a much better job of commentating. By 2018, they were getting better, but it was still not good enough. And the contract wasn't renewed for 2019 onward. Netflix would show the contest on 2019, and they were planned to show it on 2020, kind of as a delayed release, at least for 2019. But in 2020, you know what happened. The contest got canceled. Which is a shame, because Will Ferrell showed up and had some opinions about Eurovision, which he will politely share with you in Eurovision: The Story of Fire Saga. Dear God, it doesn't matter if you have a nominated song. If it doesn't win, why should it matter? Hot take number 2. But now things seem to have come around. Now that the Eurovision Asia Song Contest has been quietly shelved in a corner and forgotten until maybe next decade, who knows what will happen by then, full work has gone into sharing the Eurovision Song Contest with the United States. In 2021, EBU announced that they would be working with NBC, or rather their streaming service Peacock, to show the Eurovision Song Contest in both semifinals and the final, which is rather cool. Props on that. It doesn't stop the fact that the Eurovision performances on YouTube have been geo-blocked since 2016, but it's a start. And then the announcement came that the American Song Contest was going to come. And I was like, finally. I've had quite a bit of arguments with people about how an American Song Contest should happen. First misconception was that you would need to rely on state broadcasters as Eurovision relies on national broadcasters, which is just stupid. You don't use the same rules in Eurovision on a hypothetical US song contest. What you can do instead is give all the rights to one broadcaster, have them set up a committee, or you could set up a committee and have the broadcaster rotate like with the Super Bowl. It just doesn't need to work with state broadcasters. It makes no sense. Second off, the lack of cultural diversity. Okay, I'm going to have to stop you there. Just because most of us speak in English, first off, Puerto Rico's in the game, so they're going to be sending something in Spanish, guaranteed, unless NBC does something funky. Don't do anything funky, NBC. I'm counting on it. But just because we speak English doesn't mean we're culturally homogenous. The United States is almost as big as Europe. That is, if you don't count Russia. So, of course, with all those people spread out across the country, you're going to have diversity. You have the New Yorker culture, the Dixie culture, Louisiana, Texas, the West Coast, the Great Plains, Chicago, Detroit. You already got a lot of culture right there. And you also got the assumption floating around by the European members of the community saying, oh, you're all just going to send in pop songs. Again, not true. America does a lot of music just like everywhere else. Pop, yes, there's going to be a lot of pop entries. But in the United States, we also have rock, jazz, gospel, folk music, whatever, and even pop. Pop is a genre of genres. It doesn't really have any meaning in and of itself. It just takes all the popular songs from every genre and pulls it together. That's why they call your pop Europe, listen to me, that's why they call Europop Europop, because it's popular music from Europe. This is all just a matter of perspective. And finally, remember what I said about the LGBT and Eurovision being at a great overlap? Those same people say, you don't have the camp entry, so it won't be interesting to an American audience. Which, okay, I'm going to have to correct a few things right there. Yes, a lot of people from America watch Eurovision because it's kooky. The problem is not that Eurovision is kooky. The problem is that Americans don't have the proper lens to understand it. The American Song Contest is a way to bridge the gap, to allow Americans to understand Eurovision music. And that's not to say there won't be any camp entries at all in American Song Contest. Sure, there's not going to be as many kitschy costumes or props, but it's going to be more tailor-made to an American audience. That's what an American Song Contest would be. And this gets into another argument. Before I continue with this argument, there's an argument that singing shows are oversaturated in the US. Yes! But that doesn't mean an American Song Contest couldn't bring anything to the table. Because, guess what? Most of the singing shows we have in the United States are all people singing covers. Rarely do you have anyone, like say Chris Renee from X Factor US Season 1, come in with original songs. And usually they're discouraged from coming in with original songs. Thanks, Simon Cowell. I thought you were better than that. No wonder Britain is tanking in Eurovision. It all makes sense now. I get it. However, the American Song Contest is going to be a lot different from, say, The Masked Singer. The Masked Singer has a lot of gimmicks, nothing of substance. The American Song Contest introduces new songs by local artists and have people vote for them. There's a sort of novelty in this that American singing shows don't provide. And in fact, why do you think European national finals like Melodifestivalen or the Melody Grand Prix or even Adal, held by a country that doesn't participate anymore unless they re-entered? I haven't checked what's going on with Eurovision 2022. It could be held in Milan or Torino or heck, even Verona. What do you mean it's not held in Verona? Haven't you heard the song? Haven't you heard the song? As an American, though, I've listened to Eurovision and I grew to love Eurovision. Beyond the camp, beyond the kitsch, there are some legitimately good songs in there. In fact, I generally like at least 90% of them in any given contest. If you want to introduce Eurovision to the American public, I see the American Song Contest as a stepping stone for making it easier for the American populace to understand Eurovision. And yeah, we're not going to throw in this random camp or kitsch just because we need to. And in fact, we barely know what the American Song Contest is at its core. This year, we're going to find out. It could be a bust, but it's not going to be a bust for the reasons that the Eurocentrists are going to say. Yes, I said Eurocentrists. Because I have a feeling the European Eurovision fans are just gatekeeping the whole thing, which I get. You don't want foreign influences to come in and wreck your contest. That's understandable. And raising and nurturing your own songs in your own continent, I approve. But that doesn't mean the contest can't expand in some way or another to other countries. The American Song Contest is a good step up. And if the American Song Contest kicks off, and I assure you it will, we're going to get more contests like this around the world. We could finally bring back the Asia Pacific Song Contest we've been waiting for. We could bring back the OTI Festival in the new form that actually is Pan-American. We could bring up the Afro Music Song Contest to the grand stage. We could do all this and more. I've always liked the idea of countries sharing songs with each other to bring the world together. And now we need it more than ever. I said I was mad about Eurovision 2020 being cancelled. I didn't say we should have everyone there and reap the consequences afterward. You can still have the contest. You don't need to have that many people. You could put them in an empty studio and have them sing to a canned audience, like they did in that one random Eurovision Song Contest in the 1960s. That would just be the normal we would be dealt with in 2020. And people would be listening to those songs in such an uncertain time, and they wouldn't feel as depressed. They would feel together, if not in the same room. And that is okay. I honestly felt like with the build-up to Eurovision 2021 that something was missing in my life. And that sounds stupid, but without Eurovision 2020, I didn't get that assurance that time was passing, that we weren't slowly nipping our current tragedy in the bud. And then we had Eurovision 2021, and it was just an overflow of emotions all at once that could have been tempered, what with a 2020 contest. And honestly, I think we need the contest now more than ever, and an American contest doubly so. And I am certainly going to see how well we do. Not just America, but me as a Californian, I want to see how California does. Yes, I know, that's kind of silly of me. But hey, California has been taking a bludgeoning from everyone in the United States, even its own Californians. And I want to see it break some stereotypes, and maybe a few caps. That's a reference to Switzerland's 2019 song. Under no situation would I recommend breaking caps. Just a few final words before we end. I've noticed a few odd things about the contest itself. From the application paper, mainly. There was this application you could find online if you wanted to participate in the contest. They don't really have that much of a requirement for you to participate in your home state. They just require states that you have a deep connection to, which is troublesome. Because theoretically, someone in, say, Florida, because they have a summer home in, say, Montana, could say they're from Montana, and due to the low population there, get the spot. And then there's the awkwardness of putting the territories like Guam and the Virgin Islands in the contest, where there are hardly any people there to begin with. They would have to be really generous with finding people to fit those spots. But it's not impossible, it's just rather, But hey, we could get a San Marino situation, where San Marino just finds people from other countries to represent them. That would be funny. I don't quite know what the voting process is going to be. I hope it's going to be the same as Eurovision. And if it is the same as Eurovision, we have more entries, meaning that the winner could potentially have more points than Salvador Sobral of 2017. That would be a funny moment, wouldn't it? But hey, we'll see what happens. I've kept in contact with some Europeans who would like to see how this contest works, simply because they don't believe that it'll succeed. I want to prove them wrong, and I want to give them something to remember fondly. Not just remember, period, because that could still be disgusting, but remember fondly. I want the American Song Contest to succeed so that Eurovision can succeed. Does that make any sense? And if it turns out the United States somehow sends the winner of the American Song Contest to Eurovision, one, that's straight up stupid and terribly indulgent, and two, there's gonna be some serious ramifications if America doesn't win, which, first off, America, if you knew you were competing in Eurovision, you would have tried more. Don't be ashamed of what you have. And three, that whole thing about people being mad that America's gonna storm into Eurovision is gonna be incredibly justified, and it's gonna hamper our efforts of expanding the contest worldwide. As stated before, I want a continental circuit. I want Eurovision as a separate contest. I want an African Song Contest. I want an Asia Pacific Song Contest. I want an American Song Contest, like the Americas Song Contest. I'm not allowed to call it Contest of the Americas, that name was taken. And the top 5 of each go on to a World Song Contest where everyone votes American Idol style. And by American Idol style, I mean the results show gets revealed 24 hours as a tape delay of the contest is broadcast slowly around the world. And we finally crown a winner. I believe we can get there. We just don't have to confine ourselves to one way of how the contest works. And that's a lot coming from me, an American Eurovision fan. But I believe we can do it. And I believe we should embrace the opportunity rather than discouraging it. So with that being said, whoever gets selected for California, break a leg, I want you to do well. If not, I'll do it. It's not like I can claim I'm from any other US state. It's not like I have that advantage, so it will have to be I'm from California to participate. And I hope you European Eurovision fans are watching, because this may change the trajectory of Eurovision as we know it. With that being said, we'll see what happens. Do the feedback thing, like, comment, subscribe, or dislike. It's kind of radical saying you're an American Eurovision fan. It's like saying you're a Marmite. Follow me on Twitter at JERealize. This has been JERealize. I'll see you next time. And there will be a next time. I'm going to watch that contest. I'm going to share that contest. I'm going to have some fun.